the things we talk about here.
Jude had an operation. He's decided to become a male, more of a male, higher testosterone levels.
You know, it does sound like those voice things that they use on like crime shows.
Yeah.
Sounds just like it.
Did you see I say this every time he's on. Did you see the movie Legend? With, that's what he sounds like, the devil in Legends.
Oh.
Tom Cruise. Wasn't that a fucked up movie that Tom Cruise did? He was like a half fairy, half elf something, and he's running around in a unicorn meadow. And
I don't think I saw that either.
You didn't see it?
I don't think so.
Well, your voice sounds just like the Satan character.
Is it? Well.
And it triggers me. I'm going to start using that word all the time now.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, it triggers me. That's my new
thing. I mean, what doesn't trigger you?
That's true. There's just about everything imaginable.
We probably all wouldn't be talking right now if things didn't trigger us.
Yeah.
So true. But are you ready?
I'm always ready.
So tell me what happened with your wife in the car and the accident and the totality of the whole thing. What happened?
Well, it was actually a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I think she was just driving home from shopping. It's actually like a lot more traffic in the city than you might think. I tell people Iowa, excuse me, they think farmland, but we're in Des Moines and that's a city of 1 million people. It's a sanctuary city. So there's all types here. And somebody who didn't even have a license. Also there's no car inspection here, which is kind of fun.
Is that right? And you can carry pistols there too, right?
And it's open carry. So, but you'll literally see cars, no hoods, no doors. It's like a third world country sometimes.
It's like Cuba. Yeah.
Like chicken cages stacked up, and like in New York, your vehicle would have been pulled over. Like the thing in New York is they must funnel so much money into the police department. These police cars will follow you, or maybe it was just me because I didn't.
You mean in New York they'll follow you?
Yes, in New York I felt sometimes singled out, and I'm a white guy, right? I'm not even I don't think I look that threatening.
No, I don't know.
But out here that doesn't happen. I mean, there has to be a major gunfight or.
Is that right for the cops to get involved?
Oh yeah, I love it. I actually love it.
No, it seems better. I feel like New York is like a police state.
It's tough, and we don't even need to get in between your issues with like medical legislation. I've had a lot of stuff with food regulation, owning food business to grab.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we've all just regulated up the tuka.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, this lady hit her. The lady didn't even have a driver's license.
Where was she from? Ecuador or something?
So honestly, I don't know, but I'm not sure. But
where'd you get the money for
I have
a car?
to say the husband had insurance, thank God. He was really nice, but he was also trying to I don't know what the word is, I wasn't there with her. So he was trying to convince her not to call the police.
Oh no.
Right. So she felt kind of overwhelmed because she was still in shock from having
collision
the accident.
Right.
Yeah.
Did the airbags go off?
I think in the other lady's car.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering.
Yeah,
sure.
and she also had a little baby in the car, which is scary. But everything was all right. Her husband had insurance, thankfully, because I was like, oh, here we go. We're going to get fucked because this person doesn't have insurance.
Right.
That's it's not optional here, but I would say 25% of the people don't have it since the police presence is just so low, which I generally appreciate. But in this case,
God,
so anyway, we're in a mad. There's one car here, but it's it's tough to get around with. We're spoiled with two cars.
Is that being spoiled, or is that just the norm? I don't know.
It's probably the norm, but I realize in other countries, people that can't afford it or whatever. Maybe it's a luxury. I actually, there's a whole crop of people here in Des Moines that seem to be I want to slim my living down, and a lot of couples, and even I know a few people families with kids that one car or even no cars. So I don't know if it's like a hipster thing.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want to become a third world country. Every day I wake up, I'm worried we're going to become a third world country. They're trying to talk us into it, and I just
we're not far off.
No,
Right.
we're close. We're very close. Anyway, we're going to do our podcast today. We've got Jude Goldman, who's on there. Jude,
Hi.
say hi.
Hi.
Nice. And
Hello.
the one and only Tara Rule.
Hi.
And we haven't done this in a while, the three of us. So.
I know.
But one day, I think we did for like 4 hours.
I know.
We got like 4 or 5 shows out of one podcast.
Oh, that's right. That was an awesome podcast, though. It's honestly one of my favorites.
Yeah,
It was a lot of fun.
it was good. It came out great. That was one of our most popular at the time. But so I'm sorry to hear all about that. This weekend, though, I just want to say that I was experimenting. I was the hallucinogenic cowboy.
Nice.
Mushrooms, my friend.
Oh, right on. Did you see God?
I needed a little more of a bump on the mushroom side, and there's no doubt I would have. The guy
I have some. I'll send you.
Well, I would wish you would. But the gentleman who I received them from was some time ago. We don't want to get into too much of the details on that. But he had told me there were Yoda mushrooms. I'm like, oh, that's pretty tame, right? Yoda's a cute little wise midget guy, vertically challenged or whatever you want to say. And but when I took them, there was nothing Yoda about it. I mean, it was so crazy that I was like, oh my God. I was telling Tara, I saw like onyx pillars in gold, like a temple of some sort, all kinds of geometry moving around. I saw all of this stuff, really compelling shit. And then you know who showed up to my mushroom journey?
Oh boy.
Elmer Fudd, Foghorn Leghorn, and Bugs Bunny.
That seems like some deep-seated childhood
There's
trauma
some shit
stuff.
going on there, yeah.
There's something you need to like.
I wonder if I was sexually abused by Elmer J. Fudd. I wonder if I was, there was something going on there.
Maybe.
Or during. That would be more scary. All right, I don't want to
Maybe
go
they
there.
just
Yeah, let's not.
let's.
It was a positive experience.
Yeah,
up until,
let's keep it positive.
Yeah, it was positive up until then. But what I didn't know is that the Star Wars actually had culturally things about mushrooms they were all taking. There was a hallucinogenic mushroom that they were all taking on Star Wars that they would buy. There's a whole story on it.
Interesting.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I started building a Death Star in my shower. It's suspended there.
Good.
Yeah. I'm taking car parts and stuff from different places, and I've got to go get some more of those mushrooms to finish it. But that's what I'm hoping. That's my plan.
I love it.
Hey,
It's a great plan. So anyway.
you're a spiritual sojourner.
So before we get started, I had a question. Has anybody seen Chimp Empire? Have you seen that yet?
No.
You haven't seen it?
I have not. No.
I got to tell you something. It's Shakespearean. It is really... I'm not even kidding you. I know that sounds...
I like that Jude laughed.
It's a snicker, too. He's like, oh, that's not even nice, man. You could have said... You could have been a little nicer about that. But anyway, so the Chimp Empire, you got to watch it. It's an 8 series. They're in a go-go rainforest in Uganda. That's the largest chimp population in the world. And 15 years ago, there was a schism between the chimps, and they broke off into 2 parts. And so they had these 2 leaders. And this whole thing, these chimps are, first of all, they're carnivorous. They eat meat. Did you know that? I didn't know that.
I really thought they were herbivores.
Well, they'll eat that. They'll eat fruit.
Right.
That's their big thing.
Oh, so they're, what's that word? Yeah. Both.
Well, they go down and they go out.
Omnivore?
Yeah, well, they go out and hunt little
Right.
monkeys and
I
eat
didn't
them.
know that.
Yeah. You'll get those little...
Oh, so they hunt and they kill animals and they eat that meat?
Yep.
Oh, wow. What are they hunting? Like small game?
Well, they'll
Rabbits
eat
and stuff?
anything with protein. I mean, I think they were eating a little, like, pig or something at one point, but
Oh.
they split it up between everybody. And it's like, they're very social. So you get some, you don't get some. You want a tenderloin, you want a hoof, whatever. Does
everybody get equal parts? Or
what's that? No, it's all about dominance.
Hierarchy?
It's a hierarchy,
Right.
And but the revenge thing was the thing. We're an inch away. We're stone throw away from being chimps. We really are chimps. We just have iPhones.
Yeah,
we are. We're completely chimps. Yeah, we're chimps with iPhones.
Sure.
But it's really excellent. It's in 8 parts. I got compelled. I was right into it. It was sad. I've had a lot of sad stuff happen over the last 3 weeks, so I'm just trying to get a grip on it, pull myself together. But
let it out. Let it out. Now is the time to talk.
I don't feel like being
personal.
I just got off all these mushrooms. I don't feel like being vulnerable right now.
Okay.
I don't feel like being vulnerable.
So,
well, hopefully
I'm not in a safe place. What's that?
Okay. All right.
I
said hopefully you worked through some of the trauma during this psychedelic experience.
I don't know about that, but
okay.
I'm getting there. Let's put it that way. But anyway, before we get started, because we really want to talk to Tara Rule, talk about conspiracy theories, following her around. The Peter Flaherty. Have you heard this whole thing at the Berkshire Hathaway shareholder meeting?
I don't know anything about it.
No, you could fill me in. I've been...
Okay. Well, I mean, this didn't get a lot of press. It didn't get a lot of press. There wasn't anybody that really covered it. But he was arrested. He founded the National League and Policy Center, so he's like a watchdog group. He's a very successful guy. He doesn't care whether you're Republican or Democrat. He goes after everybody equally. So he really focuses on ethics to reduce the size of government. He's more like a libertarian, so he doesn't appear to me to be a Democrat or a Republican, but more in the center of that libertarian space. But
sure.
So he's the chairman of the National League, and he also does a lot of policy. And he got up to give his speech, and he does it every year. And he started talking about the Gates Foundation and how they offer gender identity toolboxes at the site, at the Gates Foundation site, which asserts the gender as a result of socially, culturally constructed ideas.
So like gender norms, essentially?
Yeah,
he's saying
what he's against is he's saying that he got right up and said, it's a lie, and gender's not a cultural construct, which I agree with him. So I don't know if anybody disagrees with me on that, but it's genetics and biological fact. And I got in a big to do with a doctor on Instagram.
Oh no!
over the
No,
weekend.
not you.
I did, and it was about Down syndrome because I have a daughter with Down syndrome, and they jumped in, and this young guy was giving a speech on the plight of Down syndrome and why it should be considered important, and all these people got on it, were giving this kid shit about that. They were giving me shit about it because I posted it, but I just was like, we are in such a strange place in the world that they don't believe kids with Down syndrome have the ability to speak, but they believe transgenders. I mean, I think everybody should be able to speak. Just so I have no allegiance to. I definitely have allegiance to disabled children and adults, but I just think everybody should be able to say whatever the fuck they want. But anyway, getting back to this whole thing with Peter Flaherty, he ended up getting arrested. Warren Buffett said, "Okay, I'll give you 3 more minutes." And when he opened up his mouth about Jeffrey Epstein, that's when the shit hit the fan. He goes, he thought Bill Gates, he says, "We know how much Bill Gates cares about children. He met and traveled with Jeffrey Epstein many times."
Oh my gosh.
And once he said that, and he said the Gates may be the largest single donor to the dark money machine known as Arabella. Have you ever heard of Arabella?
No, what's that?
No.
It's a similar organization, paralleled organization with the Gates, but they are into all this, transgender, children being able to change their sex when they're out of the womb, just about. And so he really gave it to him, and Buffett gave him 3 minutes, and it was about a minute. After he said that, they came in, they took him off the stage and arrested him.
What was he arrested for?
You tell me. They didn't really say in the article, there wasn't a lot of extended information on it. And I was just stunned that they did it. I mean, I actually watched it. Someone had recorded it. And I couldn't believe for someone making a speech. Now, we know Warren Buffett and Bill Gates are good buddies, right? They play bridge together and all that. So who knows? Maybe Warren Buffett's a dirty bird.
Who knows?
I didn't even know he was still alive.
Warren Buffett? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They're drinking all that baby's blood. He'll live to be 200 or 300 years old.
Right.
I was going to say that keeps him around, right?
Right. That's that's what's keeping him around. But so I thought that was the news of. There's a lot of Epstein stuff that just keeps leaking out because the New York Post and I think the Wall Street Journal got a hold through the Freedom of Information Act. Got a bunch of documents out of. Oh God, what Bohemian? What island was he in? St. Croix or something, where they use the Freedom of Information Act on there and all this documentation because they're suing Chase Manhattan Bank. The country is the island, and so the news organization's got all this information on it. It's really fascinating stuff. So that is not over. That's
releasing the list, or.
Well, just even who was involved. There were all these deans of these really expensive high schools that were involved. And I mean, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. No one is held accountable for anything. No. They just kill them before they can be held accountable for anything.
Yeah.
Right? And just today, there was
Kemp Island.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable what's happened out there. But anyway, that's a podcast unto itself. But I just thought it was pretty interesting that this Peter Flaherty, who's a straight shooter, no bullshit kind of guy, ends up getting arrested for saying something that wasn't not true. It was just uncomfortable. It made everybody in the room uncomfortable.
How much time, back on Epstein, how much time did, I'm not sure if it's Ghislaine or...
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Ghislaine. So how much time did she get? Do we know that?
I don't know. I don't remember what her... Was it
like
7 years?
She was the fall guy or fall gal.
What about all the accomplices to the crime? I mean, usually they go after everybody.
She was the closest person to Epstein. Like, she must have not spilled her guts, or she did spill her guts.
Well, she didn't do anything. I don't think she did anything. I think she was prosecuted. I don't think she took the stand. I think she was there, to be the scapegoat for this whole thing.
Weren't they supposed to release the book of everyone who was on the Lolita? Did they do that or no?
No, they'd rather release CIA documents on the Ukrainian war than release
or
that.
Talk about UAPs.
Yeah. It's just
look at this video of this UAP from Let's Rebrand UFOs, and let's look at this thing from the 90s. Isn't this interesting?
Yeah, look over here. We got tic-tac things flying. Anything to distract us.
With the UAPs, though, it seems like nobody gives a fuck.
I remember being not outraged, but I was really surprised because I thought that was oh my gosh. And no one was talking about it. And I'm like, wow, everyone is literally so jaded because a few people, I think that was one of the last times we did a podcast or something that we talked about how nobody cared. And I was like, wow, that's so funny that they can be hey, aliens are here. And everyone's going to be like, uh-huh.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. No one cares. It's just
aliens are here. We need 20,000 people for food.
Right. The aliens are here. Well, gas is still $4.95, so I don't really give a shit.
Yeah. No. Well, the biggest thing that I saw this year was, and I don't know if you guys, the mothership that had entered our galaxy that they were observing, where all these probes were flying out of it while it was going through our galaxy.
Aww.
Did you know this?
No. I wish they would have stopped and picked us up.
Yeah. Well, it was the Pentagon had released information on it.
I thought they said that was a giant rock.
No, you're reading another.
I know it was okay.
You're reading another.
It was it had a Hawaiian name, Alahua or something like that.
Well, all I know is it was supposed to get here in August, so we've got time.
Oh wait, it's coming.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Yay.
Yeah.
Will it pick me up?
Landing.
Well, I think so, Tara. I think I'd be happy to have you and get ready to come on board.
I kind of look like an alien.
The Love Boat. It's like the Love Boat.
Yeah.
Yeah. You would. I think it'd be great. So, but that's. I think 20 years ago, if that news came out, people it'd be like hellfire. People be throwing themselves off fucking buildings.
Yeah, look at War of the Worlds, that whole like thing, and everyone's freaking out. Now people will be like, okay.
With Orson Welles, during that radio broadcast, people actually killed themselves because they thought it was real. But here we are. Nobody gives a shit.
Nope.
We'd rather talk about Markle and Harry, Meghan and Harry, and all that bullshit.
But it's going to get hard with deep fake videos too, you know? Like,
oh, yeah.
That's really going to... I was trying to think about that in photography. Like, will a digital file be admissible in court? Will images
I
be
know,
admissible
I was wondering that.
evidence?
I don't think so. Also...
Well, as a photographer, there is a way to shoot a raw file.
Yeah.
Well, you probably know that, Tara. And then there is a way to look at that raw file and see if anybody's basically fucked with it.
Right.
So, like, right now, like, Photoshop, I don't think... Most raw files, I don't think you can edit them without evidence of that.
How are they doing the deep fakes right now?
It's just like AI face. It's the same as a filter that you can put on, like on Instagram, you can put a filter on. It just like reads where your face is, you know, and it places someone else's face generally on it. Oh my gosh, have you done a podcast yet about Brittney Spears? Because we definitely should.
No.
Because her whole Instagram is like, it's like not really her. Like people are like detecting that it's like deep fakes and it's AI, like technology using, you know, just like the same thing they do with other filters. But like if you slow down some of her videos, like if she puts her hand over her face or something, the filter drops for a second. And like, you know how her Instagram is so strange, especially like post conservatorship. People are realizing like the pictures of her and Sam Asghari, her husband, are not real. They're like all Photoshop. There was a video that she posted the other day where like a group of flowers, like dandelions in the background, appeared and then disappeared because it was like glitchy.
Is that right?
And like people are like, where is she? Because her wedding was really strange. All these like celebrities were there, but her ex-husband, Jason Alexander, not George Costanza, because I initially thought it was the guy, and I'm like, oh my God, that's so weird. But no, he showed up to the wedding and he live streamed it. And it was like, the place was completely empty. He like ran into Sam Asghari. He's like, where is everyone? This is supposed to be your wedding. They threw him out, but he's like, I don't see anyone here. There's no one here. There's no Brittney. Where is everyone? Where is everyone? Nothing is going on. Well,
the two boys are going to Hawaii. I read that, right? Her two sons are being, she signed off on that.
I don't know what's going on with her. I have thought for a long time, like, I don't know if it's not her or what, but like something is like really weird. And like at this point, I'm like, they're using filters. They're using filters on someone else's face that isn't her, at least on some of the videos. So there's obviously something weird going on.
Well, I got to be honest. The last two or three, I do follow her because I think it's so bizarre. I think it's bizarre. I think I'm like, maybe her father wasn't wrong. You know, everybody's like, oh, free Brittney and all this shit. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know that was the right thing to do. She definitely has some
But
issues.
I don't think that's her.
Well,
I don't think whoever's posting on her account, I don't think that's her. That's the thing. I think like they're trying to make her look unwell, but I don't even know, like, this hot take, but I don't even know if she's alive.
Well, you want to know.
Could be, they're saying deep fakes. They're saying the future of acting and actors, and this goes for models too, will be your likeness will be licensed.
Right. And maybe that's like the whole immortality thing. Like we thought it was going to be, oh, our consciousness would live forever, but maybe it's our likeness will live forever through like, you know, that kind of thing. And I think with Brittney, I don't know. I mean, I'm a huge Brittney Spears fan. I have been since I was a kid. And ever since probably like 2007, I've been like, something is off with her. Like, and more so than like she's on lithium and like, like the person that is like, I guess on her Instagram, maybe impersonating her, like it just...
You know what? Her
doesn't look like her. Her body is weird.
Her body is weird.
And like, I don't care how much lithium you're on. You don't dance like completely different like that. And also her teeth. And I know if you stop wearing a retainer or something, your teeth are different. But her entire like facial structure, like where her like teeth are, is just completely different in like a very bizarre way. And I just don't think...
I'm going to have to research. We're going to have to do a Brittney episode.
We have to do a Brittney episode because... there's something really weird going on there, and I think there's like a lot to like. We could talk about it for hours.
You know what? We do a deep fake episode because there is so much shit out there. It's going to change the dynamics of how news is reported because people have been completely fooled by a lot of that shit.
Also, voice altering software. Like, there's so many videos I see on TikTok where somebody just like there's literally a filter, not a filter. an app you can download, and it's free. And you can change like anything to like Joe Biden's voice.
Right.
And there's like all these videos of someone like, you know, like they redid this song by Ice Spice and Pink Pantheress, and it's just him rapping this like one verse, but it sounds so legitimate, and it's a free, not very good app. And if they can do that good of a job with that, it's
Imagine
like
somebody who does something for real.
Like you could do some evil stuff with that. Like you could really
they
like
AI apps, high end ones. Yeah.
Especially with her music. That's the other thing with Brittney. She has put out a song in the past few years. It was with Elton John. It was Tiny Dancer. Elton John said she never came to the studio. He never saw her. They did it remotely. But if you put in like an existing song into AI software and then you say, turn it into a Brittney Spears song, the way her voice sounds in that song, it's almost a little bit off. Just like a little bit off. And it sounds just like these AI programs where you can be like, oh, make this song, except make it Ariana Grande. And it's just like a little tiny bit off. It's not perfect yet. And it sounds just like that.
Kind of Brittney bought out.
Maybe she's dead, honestly. And she's such a cash cow, unfortunately, that they're like, we can't let her die.
Can you believe that?
But how many celebrities would be involved? That's where I'm like, this is either not the case and like something really weird is going on, but like, why would all these other celebrities like Drew Barrymore, Madonna, all these people, why would they go along with it? That's like Paris Hilton. That seems weird. Why would they go along with it? Especially when Paris has been very outspoken about, you know, some of the stuff she's been through. Yeah. I don't know. That's why I'm so confused and I have no idea. I don't get it. Well, unless they're trying to protect her from something.
Well, the Britney Spears thing is always, you go back to that MK Ultra thing, and they always said she was part of that Monarch program that we've talked about that in other podcasts, but where they've gone in with all these women actors and singers, and they, you know, what's her, Katy Perry. Did you ever see her wig out? The whole wig out video of her where she just loses her shit and she doesn't know where she is. I mean, I think that she, you know, she was part of that whole Disney thing. Yeah. And a lot of those kids are, you know, dead or, you know, messed up. That'd be an interesting one to do some research on. Okay. Jude, schedule that. Put that on the schedule.
Put it on the list. Pencil it in.
Jamie, put that on the schedule.
Jamie, pencil it in. You want to pull that up real quick, Jamie?
Yeah. So, well, I have seen some of the Joe Biden things where he's talking about having sex with two men. And
yeah.
Have you seen all that? Oh my God.
I haven't seen that one specifically, but I've seen a lot of.
It is so funny.
A lot of goofball shit on the internet.
Yeah, it is. But it looks for real. That's what's so.
Yeah, and that's the thing with the Britney Spears thing. Once people started to like slow down her videos, I was like, that's what's been eerie about them, because I'm always like, there's something off. It's uncanny valley is what it is, because it's not really her, and it's especially the eyes look weird. The eyes look weird because like they're overlaid. It's a filter. So that's what was like that eerie feeling that I got like looking at it. I'm like, she's giving me like a really weird feeling, and it's because we can kind of detect things that aren't quite 100% authentic when it comes to like looking at other people, which in and of itself, off topic, I think is really strange that like we have that uncanny valley uncomfortable feeling, because it seems like something that's like built in us, like almost instinctual, that we get a very uncomfortable feeling when we see something that's human but not quite human.
Oh Lord.
What happened back in the day that like it's like ingrained in us? Right, what's ingrained in us from like our ancestry or ancestors, that like there was something that was like kind of human but not human that like scared us? Like that's so weird. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do know what you're saying.
Isn't that weird?
Well, first of all, I did do mushrooms this week. Second of all, I never thought about it. Now that I'm going to be thinking about this for 2 weeks.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's a reality.
Filter that Brittany's placing over her real self, or possibly just like a stunt double Brittany.
It looks like someone else entirely. Like when her face does like, you know, when the filter drops for a second, it does not look anything like her. It kind of looks like there's different people doing it. One of them kind of looks like this guy that has like a social media presence. Sometimes it looks like kind of like her sister in a way, but I don't know. It's really strange. I'll have to like send you guys some videos, because send me, or I'll follow her too. I haven't followed her, but
she does have
are there other?
different look to her. I agree with you. I just have never really. I have often said she looks like she's not there.
Also, like, I have always listened to Brittney Spears. She never used to talk like this. Thank you so much. That's not how she used to talk. She has like a Southern accent.
Right.
She never used to talk like this. And it's like so weird. You know what I'm saying? Like all of a sudden, I was like, why is she sounding like that all of a sudden? Like it doesn't sound
I agree with
like
you.
her.
Yeah.
It's weird.
You know, this is why I was a Christina Aguilera man.
Why? Yeah. She was a Mouseketeer too. Why?
I don't know. It was less stressful to figure things out.
It was less stressful.
I mean, Brittney just brought too much stress into your life?
Yeah, there was too much guesswork.
Yeah, that's funny.
Well, that's interesting. Well, I don't know what to say about that, Jude, quite honestly.
I don't know.
And she could hit power notes. I mean, Brittney was good.
Yeah,
she's
a marginal singer.
She could belt it out.
No, she's a talented. She's
actually a really great singer. Is Brittney? I don't want to judge. I do like some Brittney tunes, like they're poppy and fun to.
Christina Aguilera though has a fucking wicked bad reputation.
Yeah.
When I was messing around in the music industry, that everybody talked about her like she was just like a major.
I guess she's not very kind to people.
No.
Kind of a bully.
She eats babies too, or no?
She might. I mean, there was a point where she had gained quite a bit of weight, so maybe she was eating babies.
Firstborn Jewish babies.
You know what? I'm not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole because, we all know.
The Illuminati.
Then we'd have to get into the book of the Exodus. And, oh, my God, forget it.
Brittney probably got accused of Illuminati things, too.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt. I think she probably was. Tara knows about... Tara knows about the Illuminati.
Yeah, you got to fill us in, Tara.
That's a whole podcast.
That's a whole other different.
Yeah, that's a whole
another
episode.
Podcast idea. How does one podcast turn into like 5?
I don't know.
Well, that's if we had 4 hours of sitting here. We go in, we do the Illuminati.
Yeah, and I only have an hour because I have a casserole in the oven. Can you believe it?
Oh my God! Don't even tell me that. Okay, I can't even hear that. But anyway, so Tara Rule.
Yes.
You have made national, international news.
Yes.
You spoke. That's either clapping or a drain.
Yeah.
Oh, it was clapping. It was a sound effect.
Right.
I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was clapping for you, Tara.
I can't wait for you to hear what that sounds like over the speakers, Jude. You're going to...
You can never do it
You're
again.
never going to... Yeah, you're never going to do it again.
You're never going to do it again.
It sounded like a sneeze or
It
something.
sounds weird, dude.
It sounds like...
it sounded awesome on my side.
It sounds like you're in a bathroom taking a major piss. That's what it sounds like.
It sounds like one of those really, really high intensity, like automatic toilet flushers in public bathrooms.
Yeah.
That's what it sounded like.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't quite translate into a...
No.
All right, fine. I will never do it again.
Right. And down the toilet it goes. Tara Rule. We have been speaking about you got to explain it right from the get-go. A total fucking conspiracy. 100%. I just am like, right? It was between GE, your trip to, where were you when you saw the saucer in Bigfoot?
Oh, that was in Whitehall, New York. I guess that's really common there. So I don't think that's like, I don't think that's anything to do with it. I guess that's like,
I know, but
super common.
You think it's common?
No, it is. They're like county or their town mascot is a Bigfoot.
Oh.
And I still don't know if I believe in Bigfoot, but I do believe there's like a gorilla or some sort that lives in the Adirondacks. That's what I know. I know what I saw, and it was definitely a large primate in the Adirondacks. That's all I know.
It was black.
It was probably Greg running around with one of those suits.
I wasn't there during that period of time. Yeah.
I considered that it was someone in a suit. I really did. If I wasn't so high on the mountain.
It came after you though, right? It was
no, it didn't like, no, it didn't come after me, but it like definitely stood up, and it like was like kind of like behind, just like kind of like peering, like kind of like walking behind, but like pretty far away. Like it almost seemed like it was just as scared of me as I was of.
And then you got to your car, you're driving away. They say that's a common thing to see Bigfoot and UFOs.
I learned that from the Bigfoot Society guy that I happened to run into right after that, because that's so weird that he just like happened to pull into a gas station, and I saw on the side of his truck, it was like Bigfoot Society of Northern New York. I'm like, I gotta talk to this guy, dude. I just saw that. I gotta talk to him. And he told me that that's pretty common. But, it's like sounds so stupid. So I just like, I know what I saw, but I don't believe.
I got to be honest.
Because it doesn't make any sense.
Today, in today's day and age, there are no more conspiracies because everything's true. And it doesn't sound strange to me anymore. Nothing sounds strange to me anymore.
Yeah.
That's
true.
Yeah. It's just, everything that we believed was conspiracies are no longer conspiracies.
That's true.
If we're being honest with ourselves about it. But that's all.
Yeah, we just said the UFOs don't matter,
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you're in the Twilight Zone and the guy that played Lurch is getting you on the spaceship and there's a book laying there and the book says how to cook humans when they translate it into the human, and everybody's gladly getting on the spaceship to head to the 6-course dinner they're going to have with everybody when they get them there. So that's what I can't believe, and also I just go back to Chimp Empire. Everybody is so aggressively violent that I think probably aliens would be the same way. There were probably descendants of these aliens. I think we were maybe the whole point of us was just to harvest us at some point. Who knows?
Who knows?
Ask the mushroom.
Yeah. That's the only way I would get through it. So I better stock up. But Tara, go ahead. Where do you start? Where do we start?
I guess I'll start by saying that this entire thing has been documented in real time with receipts and audio and video recordings on my TikTok. I have a playlist. My TikTok name is @Pogsy, but you can also look up Tara Rule.
Where does that come from? Where's that?
When I had right when I got not right when, but when I got out of the hospital after I had encephalitis, I had a lot of issues with reading comprehension. So I would play Scrabble with my friends, and I thought I won Scrabble because I only had a few letters left, and I was I made the word Pogsy, and I was very convinced it was a real word, but it wasn't. So my friends just called me Pogsy because it was funny.
Okay.
Because it's not a real word. That's where that came from.
You made it a real word.
I made it a real word.
Okay.
Word. But I have a playlist on my TikTok called Medical Equality, and it's documented everything that's happened since September of 2022 in real time. Yeah. And I also have a documentary series that's on YouTube under Tara Rule. It's called Chronically Corrupt. I only have the first 3 episodes.
Oh, nice name.
Thank you. Yeah. I only have the first 3 episodes out right now, but there's probably going to be 10 or more, and it is ongoing. I'm just kind of, making it's similar to the Medical Equality playlist, except with, being able to look at it with the documentation that the attorney has subpoenaed, and looking at it in retrospect, like hindsight, being able to put things together that at the time didn't make sense, but now with the documents I have do make sense.
Chronically Corrupt.
Yep.
I did see 2 episodes and they were great.
Oh, did you like it?
I gotta on YouTube.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching it.
I think I subscribed and.
Oh, cool. Thanks.
Yeah. I'm going to be doing that today. I got to see this now. So just start from because this is so, we were talking, is it incompetence? Is it planned? Is it both? I think it is both. I think they get themselves into a shitstorm.
I think that's what happened.
And
I think
try
they
and
dug
manage their
themselves
way
into a
out
hole.
of it.
Yes.
Right. And so then that's what creates the corruption.
Correct.
It's never the crime, it's the cover up, and that's usually where it becomes intensified so significant. When you look at Watergate, when we used to investigate things, but we don't do that anymore.
No.
But go ahead.
So in September of 2022, so this past September, I suffer from cluster headaches from time to time, which they're known as one of the most painful things that can happen to a human. They call them suicide headaches because so many patients end up committing suicide because the pain is that bad. It's worse than childbirth. Literally, they characterize it as worse than childbirth. Yes, it is one of the worst pains you can go through. You can go into shock from the pain. It's really severe. I will go years without having them, and then they don't know what the trigger is for anyone. But last year, I started to get them again.
Okay.
And they call them cluster headaches because they come in clusters. So I won't have them for a few years, and then for 2-3 months straight, I'll have them nonstop.
Did you see that documentary? I think it was about mushrooms, but it dealt with a guy. It was by Michael Pollan.
I haven't, but I've heard of it, and I've heard a lot of really good things about psilocybin curing people's cluster headaches.
This guy had signed up for state-assisted suicide.
Yeah,
the headaches were at that point. He was from Canada, I think. Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah, I've been looking into it because a lot of people swear by it. So,
Well,
it's
check
definitely
out that
something
Michael
I'm
Pollan film.
going to look into.
So what is it? Does it bring you through the plight of this guy and he ends up curing himself? And he uses what, mushrooms?
It actually covered, in the film, it goes through probably, I would guess, 20 people, I think.
Oh, wow.
But his really struck with me because, honestly, I didn't even know. He was either from, like, Sweden or Canada, someplace that, like, I didn't realize how prevalent state-assisted suicide is now for even if you don't have a medical or psychological, I think it's Sweden. But I'm not sure.
It must be Sweden because in Canada you have to have an incurable illness that will not get
Right,
better.
and that's
So it must be
how
Sweden.
I think, because it started out like that. You needed a medical reason, and then it was like maybe prisoners could pick it, and then it was like, people with emotional issues, and then they were just basically like, fuck it. If you don't want to live, we'll kill you.
Yep.
Which I actually thought was kind of humorous, but you know what? It's like if you should have the right. It is funny that suicide is illegal, but I understand why it's illegal in the States because they want to force you to get help, basically.
Right.
But anyway, I don't want to detract from your story. But
do they want to force you to get healthy, or they want to force you to just get on the system and blow through?
I mean, it's great moneymaker.
Yeah.
Think of all the money that like psychiatric medications, all that stuff. It's just like I'm sure it's just another moneymaker thing, probably.
Not to go off topic, but it is on subject. The diabetic industry, $150 billion a year. Drug, that's what the pharmaceutical industry makes. Do you think they're going to fix that? No fucking way. There's no there's no money in the cure. But the other thing that does do clusters is Delta 8.
Oh, does it?
We were talking about that earlier.
Yeah.
That will wipe out a cluster headache. But go ahead. We digressed.
I was going for preventative treatment because painkillers don't work. If anything, it makes it worse. For some reason, I don't know why, but that's just a thing. The only things that have worked for me are like a non-narcotic migraine cocktail, kind of dulls it a little bit. It's usually like magnesium, Benadryl, Toradol, just like
really,
it's like an anti-inflammatory mixture kind of, and oxygen therapy. So having an oxygen, yes,
yep.
Those are the only things that have dulled it for me. But
what about Botox? Did they talk to you about?
Yeah, and I've gotten Botox for my headaches, which has helped, but for cluster headaches, nothing.
Okay.
Not for me anyway.
What's the difference physiologically between a migraine and a cluster headache?
So they don't actually know what causes cluster headaches, but the pain is different. So like usually like when I have it, I'll have like one of my eyes will kind of be a little weird, like kind of like more closed than the other. Not always, but sometimes. And it just feels like an electrical, like hot, like cattle prod pain from like the back base of my skull up across my head over one of my eyes, and it feels like somebody's sticking a hot iron through my eyeball.
Oh my God.
And it sounds dramatic, but I've literally I've like done things like put my hand on a hot iron, slammed my hand in a door, slammed my head against the wall. Like I have done crazy things to distract from the pain. It's that severe.
Oh my
like
God.
It's really, I've considered suicide, like it's that bad. It's like torture. It really is. But I went for preventative treatment. I got a new neurologist. My neurologist that I had for a long time retired.
Right.
So I went to see this new neurologist and, I told him what was going on. It's well documented that I struggle with these. And I'm like, I want to look into some kind of preventative treatment. He told me basically that, I've tried some other treatments in the past that didn't work for me. So he said there are effective treatments available, but they're not available for patients who have a uterus and are of childbearing age. And I said, well, why not? And he said, because of insurance. And I said, well, what does the insurance care? He told me that insurance companies, especially after Roe v. Wade, this was right after Roe v. Wade was overturned, will not prescribe teratogenic medications, meaning like a medication that could cause birth defects in patients with uteruses that are of childbearing age. And I said, well, my insurance covers one of my treatments, and it's one of the most teratogenic treatments on the market, and they have never given me issue with it. No problem. So you have used a medication for it. I'm currently on one.
And has it worked? Has it been
Yeah,
effective?
it's like for my autoimmune condition.
Okay.
So, you know, I was like, well, don't worry about that. My insurance doesn't have a problem with that.
Why would they do that? Because they don't want to be sued if they do have a baby or something and it is affected by the...
That's what you would think. But like, honestly, I've never heard of insurance like having that issue, except my insurance never has. And
right.
So, you know, I kept kind of like asking him questions, and it became pretty clear pretty quickly that it didn't have to do with insurance, and it had to do with his personal whatever.
Oh, weird. Okay.
I don't know.
So you think he was some pro-life doctor or pro-choice doctor?
No, I don't know. So
or was he just an incompetent doctor?
I think he getting into the lore of the doctor. I didn't look into him, but one of my followers, like, I try to like keep everyone anonymous, but the internet is like a playground, and people somehow can find anything out.
Yep, they can.
So, you know, people found out who the guy was, whatever. They, even after I took down the video saying like who the guy was, because I only left that up temporarily and then I felt bad, so I took it down. Basically, I thought he was probably like Christian or religious or like something. He's not. He actually seems to be quite liberal. And I was also surprised to see that he's Jewish, because I thought maybe he was like super Christian. But here's the thing.
It's the Jews.
Yeah,
I told you
there you go. They control everything.
Oh my God,
and I'm
no.
only saying that because we are Jewish.
I know.
Yeah.
But it seems like somebody told me if you go back on his Facebook, he has one kid, but then he got remarried, and his wife really wanted to have children, but she is infertile. And they spent like a lot of money or something on like fertility treatments. And like, they told me, I didn't look at the posts, but this person told me that there seemed to be a lot of like really kind of like emotionally heated kind of like commentary on like, well, you know, there's so many people that can just have kids and they don't, like, kind of like, if you can, why wouldn't you?
Right.
So I think it was more so he just has this hang up because of his personal experience and like is kind of projecting that onto me as his patient.
Oh my God.
Because that's the vibe I got. Because I told him my partner has a vasectomy. I told him I'm not having children. I have a genetic disorder that I would 100% give to my child. And I don't want to give this to anyone else. It's not a great way to live.
Right.
And he just kind of kept pushing it. And when I kept asking him what's the name of the medication, he wouldn't tell me. And he just kept refusing it, downright refusing it. And I was like, if I was through menopause, would you prescribe it to me? Yeah. I was like, oh, so it's only because I'm of childbearing age? Yep. So anyway, he refused to give me a treatment that would help me, that was safe. Instead, he prescribed me a non-teratogenic treatment without my consent. We didn't talk about this treatment. He didn't tell me what it was called, because I would have told him right off the bat, I can't take that. But good thing I looked into it before I took it, because it could have like ended my life based on my drug allergies, my medical history, my comorbidities to my Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. There's a lot.
You found that out, though.
I found that out.
Because he didn't know that.
No, he did.
What?
He asked me questions in the appointment, like, what about your blood pressure? What about this? What about that? No, it would have been terrible.
Was he going to off you because you were...
No, I think he just did it to just like... I don't think he did it to be like, oh, let's like get rid of her. I think it was more so like he was so much prioritizing a hypothetical fetus situation that like he was blinded by it.
Oh my God.
He was blinded by that. And just like,
crazy.
It was strange. He was asking me really uncomfortable questions about my sex life that are like wildly inappropriate for a neurologist. He's a neurologist. He's not my OBGYN.
Oh my God, that's even more bizarre.
Right. I started to record the conversation after he made a comment that I'm not going to say here because I don't like to say anything publicly that I don't have proof of. He made a very inappropriate comment.
Is that right?
And I felt very uncomfortable. And I was not sure where it was going, but I was fearful that maybe he was going to like do or say something inappropriate, like sexually.
Anybody else in the room?
No. There wasn't anyone else in the room.
I thought
they had to have a nurse in the room.
No.
Yeah, me too.
Nope.
Wow.
So I started recording him. It wasn't anything like sexually charged or anything. Not like what I thought, but I didn't know what was going to happen. So I started recording him, which, in New York State, you have the legal right to do so. It's a one-party consent state. So I can record people without their knowledge or consent.
Right.
And I left without, him giving me a safe treatment for me. And I was really upset and really devastated because he didn't provide me with informed consent, like a conversation about here are the risks and benefits of all these medications. He didn't give me a choice. And, you know, he was like prioritizing a hypothetical pregnancy, a hypothetical fetus that wouldn't exist. And then he got really mad when he's like, well, what would you do if you got pregnant? I'm like, well, it wouldn't happen. My partner has it would not happen.
You're in a faithful relationship and that is not going to happen.
And he's like, well, say it did. I was like, I would have to get an abortion. He's like, why? I'm like, because of my medical condition and because I'm on these meds that would like, you know, cause
damage the fetus and the baby and everything.
And me too, you know,
right.
like I could, it makes me high risk. So, and he was like, well, no, you know, you can like do other things. Like it was just so inappropriate. So I was like really crying and very upset because I was like
in his office while you were there, or after you got out?
After I got out.
Okay.
I just did the normal thank you so much. Well, you know, like totally normal. And then I got to my car and I was like, I must be mistaken. There's no way that conversation went the way it did. So I listened to the recording and I was like,
it did go.
Holy shit, this is so bad. And I just like burst into tears and I tried calling like my mom and my friend and my partner and like nobody answered the phone, which is like not normal, but they called me back. But like I needed someone to talk to like bad, because I'm going to be honest, in that moment, because I was already struggling so much with the cluster headaches, they can last for me anywhere from like a few weeks to a few months to like a year. And I was like, I cannot deal with this pain. Like, it's terrifying. Like, when you aren't having the pain, you're terrified of the next time it's going to hit because it hits without warning.
It's like Chinese water torture. You're waiting for that next.
Yes, exactly.
And I'll get in trouble for saying Chinese water torture. But what I was going to say is, so when you say a year, is the intensity of it the same through the? Yeah. So there's like, you get breaks from it. Like, it'll last anywhere from like 15 minutes to an hour to a couple hours to a few hours. But like it can come and go. Like you'll be like have it for like an hour and then you'll be okay for a few hours, but then you get it again. Oh my God.
So you don't know how long it's going to last. You don't know when it's going to hit. You don't know what triggers it. So it's impossible to, you know, prepare. Yeah. So, and I was thinking like, oh my gosh, like I live in a world and in a country and stuff where like my pain is being deprioritized over like a hypothetical feat. I can't deal with that. And I made a video just screaming and crying in my car. And I put it on my TikTok because I had recently come out with the fact that I have a genetic connective tissue disorder and that I struggle with my health, which is something I kind of tried to hide for a while from my social media because I didn't want it to affect my work, like acting jobs or filmmaking jobs.
Right.
But I got so much support from people online when I was like honest about my health. So I was kind of looking for support and it went like insanely viral right away because it was right after Roe v. Wade was overturned.
Yes.
Not that this had anything to do with Roe v. Wade because New York State has not really changed their reproductive care.
Nope.
But, you know, it's a hot topic.
Absolutely.
And I was getting interviewed everywhere. It was all over Twitter. It was all over Reddit. I got interviewed for USA Today. I was on the front page of Jezebel. It was everywhere.
Which Jezebel?
Jezebel is like it's like a publication. I think it's mostly online. It's like a lot about humanitarian issues that, you know, like humanitarian issues, things that need social change, stuff like that.
Okay.
And you know, it went viral. Wow. And after a week, I was still dealing with this headache. And I ended up going to an urgent care. So the hospital where this neurologist worked was 45 minutes away from my house. The urgent care I went to get the oxygen treatment was 5 minutes away from my house. So 2 separate facilities.
Okay.
While I was there at the urgent care, they gave me the oxygen treatment. They were giving me the IV treatment, the non-narcotic IV treatment. But I still needed, you know, more. They were kind of slowly doing the IV. They do a bag. Are you better? No. Okay. So they were about to set me up with another bag. While I was in the urgent care, I posted a video to my TikTok. I didn't live stream. It was just like a video post. And I said, I better not miss Lil Nas X concert tomorrow. Because I'll sue the doctor if that happened. Because if that's not pain and suffering, I don't know what is. It was clearly a joke.
Right.
I didn't say the doctor. I just said that as a joke. About 5 minutes later, the nurse practitioner who was taking care of me came in with another nurse, 2 other doctors, and armed security guards. And they surrounded me. God. And I started recording because I was terrified. And she was like, so the chief nursing officer of Glens Falls Hospital, which is where the neurologists were,
right,
called the chief nursing officer of Saratoga Hospital, which is another hospital in the area, who called our emergency department director at Multimed Emergent Care, who called our charge nurse to say that you were live streaming. And I wasn't live streaming. And I had proof of that on my phone. I was like, no, I was trying to explain, like, you're not understanding. I can show you the last time I live streamed was the 19th, which it wouldn't matter anyway, because any Albany Med facility up until this happened, the day this happened, you can see they changed in their code from like Internet Archives that they didn't have any policies regarding recording, social media posts, anything like that. There was no one else in the video. I wasn't violating anyone else's medical privacy, even though
it was just you.
It was just me. No identifying information.
Isn't that kind of fucked up that someone's monitoring you, obviously? Because
Yep.
how would they know?
Well, that's what I asked.
They have security cameras in there.
There weren't.
No,
There weren't. It was a private room. What happened was, because I asked, I was like, how would they even know? They're like, well, they gave the room number. I'm like, I don't even know my room number. How would they know that? And the nurse practitioner goes, well, they looked on the tracker. So what happened was, and this is in their own audit trail, my attorney subpoenaed the audit trail, which shows what goes on the back end. The nurses, doctors, physicians talking to one another. What happened appears to be the administrator of Glens Falls Hospital was looking me up on social media, saw I was in the emergency room, then looked me up in the tracker, which is a huge HIPAA violation. I was not currently in her hospital. The only time you can look up a patient from facility to facility is during something called break the glass. And break the glass is used if a patient comes in unconscious or unable to speak for themselves in an emergency situation, and they need to break the glass, quote unquote, break, the HIPAA violation.
Right.
There's no more violation because you need to know what conditions do you have. Right, exactly. But this is not that. So then when she called all these other hospitals, all these hospitals are in violation. And they threw me out for something that wouldn't have been illegal anyway. Even if I was live streaming, that would have been totally legal, but I wasn't.
When you say they called all the other hospitals, what does that mean? They literally called...
So Glens Falls Hospital, the chief nursing officer there, called the chief nursing officer of Saratoga Hospital and said, is Tara Rule in your emergency department? And she said, no, but I'll look her up. Then the chief nursing officer of Saratoga looked me up and said, oh, no, she's at Multimed Emergent Care. So then the chief nursing officer of Saratoga Hospital called Multimed Emergent Care and said, throw her out. It says it in the audit trail. Escort her off the premises.
And that was because you took a video, which was a bullshit video. It was just you were...
I don't know what the reason was, but I know that in retrospect, that day, USA Today called the administrator of Glens Falls Hospital for comment about what happened with the neurologist. Wow. So fast forward, I'm a wreck. I go home. I immediately post the recordings of me getting thrown out on TikTok because I'm like, this is getting crazier. That immediately goes
When you
viral.
say you got thrown out, what was the video? Was they picking you up, dragging you out? Were they escorting you out?
I left. I didn't want to get put in like cuffs or anything. So You left voluntarily?
I left.
Sort of. Yeah, sort of.
Yeah. You didn't have a choice.
I didn't have a choice.
Right.
But because of that, this is like such a cosmic weird thing that happened. I have been to that urgent care a million times.
Yep.
That day, I just so happened to forget my insurance card, and I just so happened to update my insurance. So when I got there, I was like, shoot, I don't have my insurance card. They said, you're here all the time. Don't worry about it. Upon discharge, we'll take that information, and then you can sign your consent forms. So that day, I never signed a HIPAA release. I never signed anything. When they threw me out before they had time to get me to sign anything, which really screwed them over because they certainly had no, consent for anything. Fast forward, my boyfriend, who is not an authorized individual, under HIPAA, you sign a piece of paper saying you can talk to this doctor, you can talk to this family member in an emergency.
Right.
He wasn't even my emergency contact. Okay. He left a negative Google review of the facility because he was like, my girlfriend got thrown out mid-treatment for something she didn't even do. This is wildly inappropriate. Right. The nurse practitioner who threw me out of Multimed Emergent Care found him on Facebook and started sending him direct messages disclosing my private health information, date of service, time of service, treatment received, previous places I've received medical treatments, the fact that she was my nurse practitioner. You cannot tell people this stuff.
Right.
And then she ended it with, I hope she gets all the likes on social media to feel better. Oh my God. And I'm like, this is insane. Like, this is so wild. Like,
it's so inappropriate.
And it's very illegal.
Yeah.
So, of course, I reported it to her boss.
Right.
And they said, I gave them all the proof. I gave them the recordings. I gave them the screenshots. And they said, yeah, we don't see any impermissible HIPAA violations. And I said, really? You sure about that? You sure about that? And then
of course they're going to say that,
And then they started to ignore me. And then I was going, my attorney subpoenaed
right.
the audit trail, the records. I saw that they submitted fraudulent documents to my insurance company. They had a, quote, doctor sign off on it that does not exist. The name does not exist anywhere in their system. They forged my signature. They did all of this stuff, totally illegal. And then the woman who works in their billing department started reaching out to me on social media saying she's going to come to my house and deal with me. She's calling the police. She's doing all this stuff. And I'm like, what is going on? Again, the hospital keeps ignoring me. This keeps escalating and escalating and escalating. And eventually I went to the state.
Was this like the mafia? Did they run the hospital? I mean, when somebody says they're going to come to your house and deal with you?
The goons will bust your leg.
So then it only got worse from there. I reported the whole thing to the state of New York.
Right.
And,
you reported that to what division of the state?
Everyone I could think of.
Okay.
Health and Human Services, Office of Civil Rights, Department of Education. They handle licensure for nurse practitioners, Office of Professional Medical Conduct. Anywhere I could think of.
Right.
They're all investigating everyone involved at this point.
I guess my question is with that. That's like the federal government. They investigate themselves. So does anything ever get resolved?
So here's the thing. When I reported not only the neurologist initially to the hospital for violating my patient bill of rights, which says you cannot discriminate care based on a number of things, including sex and age, which saying you have a uterus, you're of childbearing age, I'm not doing this, discriminatory. Right. Misconduct, absolute atrocious bedside manner, performing outside of scope of practice. He was asking me questions regarding my intimate life that is not anything to do with neurology.
Right.
So, I knew the internal investigations would come up as nothing because, what are you going to do? Investigate yourself?
Exactly.
It's like asking the cops to investigate themselves. They're always going to be like, no,
internal affairs, right? That's
right. But I was like, it's also like either they're going to do the right thing and hold themselves accountable, or I'm giving them the rope to hang themselves with. And I gave them the rope to hang themselves
There's no
with.
good choice there. So
no, because they started to try to cover things up. They started forging documents.
That is fucked
They
up.
started doing all this stuff that is like really bad to try to like bury it. So after I reported them to the state, I had a primary care provider that I had for a while. Me and my mom both went to this doctor.
Right.
And out of nowhere, out of the blue, he sent me an email saying, you're no longer part of the practice. Cut me off from all services, all medication. I'm a chronically ill patient. That's patient abandonment. He refused me continuity of care. He refused to send me elsewhere. And it wasn't until I demanded a meeting with him and started, mentioning some New York State laws regarding patient abandonment.
Right.
That he was like, okay, fine. And my mom came with me to the meeting, which I also, of course, recorded.
Right.
And right then and there said she was there. He's like, well, you're being dismissed from the practice. And as a matter of fact, Carol, look right at my mom. You're being dismissed too. My mom's like, for what? He gave a litany of weird reasons that made no sense. I, of course, had all the evidence to the contrary about what he was talking about. He didn't want to see it. At the end of the day, it kind of came down to, well, I saw your TikTok and you like to badmouth doctors. I'm like, here we go. Freaking TikTok. Again with the TikTok.
Yeah.
My mom ended up having a stroke because he cut her off mid-treatment. He had, the audit trail shows he had off the record cell phone conversations with my previous primary care provider and with a few other facilities in the area that I was supposed to be referred to.
Oh my God.
He's screwed. Like he's done. But this is really only.
But they're all talking to one another.
You know why I found out? No. Because even his practice, I'm like, oh, it's a family practice.
Right.
Every facility in the area.
Yep.
In the past year since COVID, everything is either owned by St. Peter's. St. Peter's bought Ellis Hospital. Everywhere else, every other facility, even most family practices and smaller facilities, Albany Med bought. Albany Med has a monopoly besides Ellis or besides, St. Peter's.
Right.
And they're trying to buy out them too. They have pretty much a monopoly. So they own everyone. I didn't know that. So Albany Med is this umbrella conglomerate and all these other people that work under it. Why they were so involved, I don't know. The worst part was when I was in my medical records and I saw that I had been institutionalized.
I know, you
and that
told
I was
me about
currently
this. Yeah.
in a mental facility, which I wasn't.
Now that makes more sense to me why they did that, because if they can say she's just fucking crazy, that's a whole other narrative that you have to combat. So they'll just keep putting stuff in front of you.
But I mean, they didn't know that I could see that in my chart. They didn't know that, they used.
I don't think the average person would have thought enough to see it.
Maybe, I don't know, but I know the person who logged this admission, I was admitted to the hospital, was this woman who lives down the street from me. She's one of my neighbors, and I knew that she hadn't worked at that facility since October. So somebody illegally used her login to put in false information.
Did you talk to her?
I didn't talk to her personally, but the director of that mental health facility called me personally and said, I'm glad we're talking. And I have all this recorded. Everything's on my playlist. She's like, I'm glad we're talking because you and I had a conversation the other day. And I'm like, no, we didn't.
What?
Yeah. And you don't say that. If you and I talked, I wouldn't be like, it is so nice that you are calling me, Tara, regarding a conversation we had, and then outlining the whole conversation and being like, does that ring a bell? And I was like,
yeah,
no,
crazy.
It doesn't. She goes, oh, okay. I got my phone records. There were no calls to. I never even heard of this facility before.
Right.
Nothing ever came of that. I got the medical records. It does show that someone called, supposedly, as me, on the same date that my primary care provider's office threw me out. At 9:30 in the morning, this intake call happened where I supposedly called saying I need controlled substances that I don't take. And then at 3 p.m. is when the email was written saying I'm no longer a patient at the primary care provider's office.
Now tell me that's not.
Yeah. How weird is that?
So people are fraudulently using your identity and name to backfill the story so that they have a narrative. I mean, that is just crazy.
And if I didn't have all this evidence, I would
know.
certainly not believe it at all. Even myself, I'd convince myself I must be mistaken. Something's wrong. I'm paranoid. I'm delusional.
Right.
And I've won over so many people on the internet. When this first started, so many people were like, you're crazy. You're paranoid. You're delusional. You're mentally ill. And I cannot tell you how many, thousands of people on the internet are like, no, you're right. You're actually this is a conspiracy. And the stupid thing is, you're totally right, is it's not oh, we're going to target her. It's literally the fact that okay, for instance, the neurologist broke the law.
Right.
They could have, reprimanded him. They didn't want to. They didn't want to be liable.
Not yet. I mean, it's still up in the air.
Well, the hospital themselves.
Right.
The hospital themselves said he didn't do anything wrong.
Their internal affairs
right.
didn't do anything to him.
But especially with the nurse practitioner who threw me out of the ER, if they fired her for what she did, then she could have turned around and said, well, I was just following orders from my superior, who was following orders from this administrator of this other hospital and this other administrator of the 3 biggest hospitals in our area. What are they going to do? Fire all the administrators of the biggest hospitals in the area? No.
Right.
So they tried to cover it up. And the more they try to cover it up and bury it, the more I was finding out. I think eventually it got to the point where we got to make her look crazy. We got to make her look insane.
Oh, absolutely.
And that didn't work either. So things have been quiet with them. The state of New York received a thing from the neurologist's attorney, and it was, as soon as I'm able to legally release it, I will. It's a joke.
Wow.
But I wrote a 96-page rebuttal and sent it back to the state.
Legal rebuttal.
A legal rebuttal, and I'm waiting to hear what they say about that. But so far, they're sending the nurse practitioner to the disciplinary board, which means they've concluded their investigation, and yeah, she's wrong. So...
But that's one person. There's a lot of people.
There's a lot of people, but I know this kind of started because you asked, well, are they really going to turn themselves in? No, but the state of New York can fine. So for instance, what the nurse practitioner did is a HIPAA violation. And there are different levels to HIPAA violations, but if it's for personal gain, malicious intent, or if it was done electronically, like on social media with an unauthorized individual,
right,
she can face jail time. The fines could be $250,000. The state's going to want that fine money.
Right.
Period. They are kind of a third party, and they're going to be like, yeah, give me that fine money. You know what I mean? Just like any other thing, you break the law and the state gets involved, the state wants the money.
Right.
So, they're kind of a third party in a way.
So are you saying that the state sees liability on the perpetrators of this whole thing? And so they're saying, how does the state get the money?
From the provider's insurance.
Oh, okay.
So the nurse practitioner is basically, from what they told me, there was a part in this during the investigation where they offered with the insurance company to settle. Basically like, hey, will your insurance settle on this? And the insurance company said, nope, not for this one. So now she's got to kind of defend herself. However, the issue happened while she was whether she's still insured or not, it doesn't matter. It's retroactive. So because the activity happened while she was under their insurance, right? Basically, the insurance is going to cover the fine.
So why would I'm so confused by this.
I know.
Why would I know, but why would the state get money? You're the one who's been damaged, not the state.
Oh, because it's the state.
That's
I know.
That's a crazy.
Yeah, I know. I don't get anything.
Well, the whole thing is now you have to go.
So what I can do now is sue her civilly.
Right. So,
right. You can personally sue her.
And I'm just waiting.
That's what you're right.
That's what
but
I'm
if she doesn't have any money.
No, the insurance would pay me.
Okay. Oh, okay. So you're gonna. So she still has the insurance coverage. You can sue her. Yeah. Civilly.
Yeah.
And okay.
And the insurance would cover it. And I'm just waiting for the state because the state already said she's guilty. I'm waiting to see what they say.
Well,
exactly.
I mean, that's a slam dunk. I mean,
right there. But now what's going to happen? Because what about the people who told her to do it? Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
well, there's more people to sue.
Oh, I'm going to sue everybody.
Yeah, I mean, quite honestly,
I'm going to sue them all.
Let's sue everybody.
I am.
Yeah,
and I'm just shocked.
That's a fucked up story right there. That's
it's bad.
Yeah, you're supposed to go into a medical facility, be safe. Your information's your information.
It's so petty. And like it all started with I made a video because I experienced like medical misconduct.
Well, you were
like, are you guys for real?
Yeah.
Like grow up. Like seriously grow up.
Yeah.
For real, grow up. You like, oh, doctors, hospital administrators, they're so busy. They're trying to be saving people's lives. Meanwhile, the nurses and all the doctors in there admitted when I was in the emergency department in the urgent care, we looked your name up on social media. There's somebody I hear in the other room, beep, 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 beep. It sounds like they're about to flatline. Meanwhile, you guys are on my freaking TikTok on the clock.
Yeah.
What the frick are you guys doing? It's like insane to me.
Well, there's a whole unintended consequences of social media. You know, just the whole, it really, I can't believe that they were monitoring social media. Now, do you think that how did they get to that point where they were doing that?
So here's I don't know for sure.
Okay.
This is my theory. Yeah. My hypothesis is that I was in the ER at the emergent care the day that one of the news outlets reached out to Glens Falls Hospital for comment about the neurologist denying me treatment.
Okay.
I think the administrator was like, what the heck is this all about? And went to my TikTok page to see the viral video. When they went on my page to see the viral video, they saw a video of me in the hospital. They realized by me being in the hospital that is probably proof of negligence because the doctor did not prescribe me a safe treatment that I could take. And therefore I am suffering damages because I am, negligence. The problem is persisting and now I'm back in the hospital. And I think what they wanted to do was get me out of the emergency room and just like wipe it from the record that I was never there. So there was no proof of negligence. That's what I think. It was a knee-jerk reaction. So they're just calling around, like, find her and get her out. That's my theory.
And then wipe out all the records of everything that occurred.
That's my theory. And I think they just didn't think. It was like a knee-jerk thing.
Yeah.
And just like a panic decision. And then I think they realized, like, shit.
Oh, yeah.
Like, shit.
Yeah.
What the hell? Like, because they didn't know I was recording.
Well, talk about just keep going rather than just
say you fucked up.
Yeah.
And exactly. I told every single one of them, and I told the hospital, everyone involved, I said, I am very reasonable. I just want an apology. Just apologize. That's it. Any one of them at any point could have apologized. They didn't.
Yeah.
They didn't.
Well, that'd be admitted guilt. And
sure,
then,
I guess you're right.
Yeah. So then they'd have to deal with, we're in a very, I mean, litigation is what we live in. If we're not killing one another. I don't know why these
doctors are so worried because honestly, it's like impossible to sue a doctor or hospital. I don't know why all these doctors are so worried. Like it is literally, do you know how many people win a malpractice case? Hardly any.
I don't know. I did not know.
It's very difficult to sue. It's very difficult. These hospitals' legal teams are insane. They're huge.
Yeah.
It's just like, I don't get it. And I'm not going to stop talking about it until I get
something.
So what are you doing about your medical care now?
Going out of state.
Where do you go?
Wow.
Tomorrow
Really?
I'm going to Connecticut. Last week I had to go to Manhattan. I do have a primary care provider who's fantastic. He's part of NYU, so he hates Albany Med. He's not involved with those people.
Everybody hates Albany.
I know, unless they're involved.
Yeah, right.
Then they're like, for some reason.
Well, then it's their temple, right?
What is why are they so like? I don't get it. They all like are bootlickers for Albany Med. Like I've worked at places and I just don't care. I'm like, okay, but these people will like die for Albany Med.
I think Albany Med's got a lot of power. They're a big conglomerate. They're almost a monopoly here in upstate New York. And
they fund everything. They fund the medical college. They fund Union College. They fund most of our parks. They give huge amounts of money to our police, to our media. The local media is huge, to our advocacy groups, to our attorneys. They give everyone a lot of money.
Yeah, they know how to cover that.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they have endowments, too. I think...
a what?
Endowments.
What's that?
Where people donated to the wealthy people donated to their organization.
Yeah, because they're nonprofit,
Yeah, exactly. So you give a donation there, you get the tax credit.
Yep.
And I think people have done that. They've left them, like the Catholic Church, they've left them a lot of money. That is just so now where are you? You're
So I'm waiting for New York State to come back, especially Health and Human Services, Office of Civil Rights, to come back with their findings after I sent in my 96-page rebuttal. I'm also working on some legislation with Change.org and Fenton. They're a social change organization to put in place some specific new legislation that would basically protect patients with uteruses who are of childbearing age from being denied care just on the basis of something's teratogenic. And also jumping through hoops. There's so many people that are you have to take birth control before you can get this treatment. You have to send in negative pregnancy tests. You have to do all this, that, and the third. You have to get a hysterectomy. All of these things that really, it should be.
Who knew? I mean,
right.
It is really.
And it's so normalized. It's so normalized that I'm you know what? That's not right. And that does violate the patient's Bill of Rights for discrimination.
Absolutely.
But for some reason, it's never been argued. So if I am found to be, if they're found to have
guilty.
Violated that, that automatically sets a precedent saying that, okay, this is the first time it's been argued. And yes, they are in violation, meaning that's pretty much all the steps you need in order to pass a new bill is there's been a lawsuit, a case.
Right.
And then this person, you won. Okay, cool. Now it can be a law. If they, for some reason, don't find him guilty of discrimination, I'm still going to keep pushing for this legislation. It's just going to be more work of me working with lawmakers and writing a bill and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to do it regardless, but I'm just kind of waiting to see if the work's going to be done for me.
So you're working
So
with...
it's not...
Go ahead, Jude.
It's not malpractice. It's discrimination? Or is there malpractice involved in that, too?
So I think this whole thing is kind of technically malpractice, but it's not cut and dry malpractice. Most malpractice cases are there has been a decision made by a doctor that resulted in physical injury, and you have to have proof of damages, usually proof of damages that they accept is in the form of loss of income. So
but this was a policy violation of, right? So which is still malpractice, right?
Yeah, but it's a little less cut and dry. So
right. Plus the HIPAA violations, but I don't know if there's monetary right. But how do you prove? I guess that's personal damages or something with violating HIPAA.
Yeah.
I know HIPAA is a big deal, but I don't know what that means as far as malpractice or.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not really sure. I think the other thing I was talking with Greg about this earlier. I think one of the reasons they haven't at this point been oh my God, let's just make this right. Just shut this girl up. Is I publicly say constantly, I will not sign an NDA under any circumstance. I will not sign a non-disclosure. So I think they're much less likely to, try to offer me a settlement to shut me up because that kind of defeats the purpose.
Does.
I mean, if it goes to trial, they're going to be even more screwed. I don't think they want it to go to trial, but I think they're less inclined to, offer me a settlement because it's not going to help. I'm not going to shut up about it.
I'm not even going to ask the next question because it would totally fuck you up. But
what?
just on a settlement, let's not say you, but I'll give the hypothetical. Suppose Albany Med came to patient Mr. Smith and said, we're going to give you $10 million, but you got to sign this NDA.
Right.
That's the point. I mean, that's a decision you have to make. When you say you won't sign one, that's fine, but
Yeah, I'll call their bluff and we can go to trial and they can get in more trouble. I don't care. I don't care. Like,
well, there you go. I mean, there's your answer.
Because this kind of thing happens to people all the time.
I know, it doesn't get solved with an NDA, but you would think that they would want to solve it so they weren't in this pickle.
And, I'm not going to stop talking about it because so many people, this happens to so many people, and people's family, friends turn their back on them because they think they're crazy because people don't have proof or they don't have evidence they can use because they live in a 2-party consent state. You know what I'm saying? They don't have the evidence. So people are like, sure, you've been blacklisted by your local hospital. I'm sure you have. You're a little crazy or something. But, this is kind of
Has any media outlets reached out and then the hospital has a PR person talk about it? Or that hasn't happened yet?
No, it has.
Like,
we were just talking about that.
Yeah, so one of the larger publications, I'm not going to use their name because they told me this in confidence, but one of them that was trying to run a story on this let me know that there was a gag order. Because the last
isn't that crazy?
The last statement that was made was by Matt Markham, who is the CEO of Albany Med or something. He gave a statement to USA Today because USA Today said, "What do you think of these allegations that this patient has said that she's been discriminated against and there's blacklisting and all this stuff? What do you think of that?" You can probably pull it up. He said his statement wasn't no comment. It wasn't a denial, and it wasn't, this happened, but we're doing something about it. His response was, we want all of our patients to be involved in their own healthcare. That was it. That was his whole statement.
That was his whole statement.
And I guess he got a lot of flack for that because that's like, dude, say no comment. If nothing else, say no comment. Because that was like such a weird thing to say.
Yeah, basically he's saying we want our patients to be involved in their healthcare, and here you are involved, and he's, they all have blood on their hands, quite honestly.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, that whole thing, I just am pulling up Matt Markham now. He doesn't look as happy in these later pictures as he did in the earlier ones.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of, I can't believe how many articles there are on these guys, but so right now you return. Well, you're not even in a discovery process.
No.
Okay.
No, I've just had him. My attorney subpoena medical records that
okay.
I'm
so
entitled to.
You're doing discovery.
Yeah, I've already got everything.
Okay.
I've sent it all to the state. But there's no lawsuit filed.
But the state isn't going to do anything for you. They're going to do what they're going to do for them.
Yeah. Right. But it will make my life easier because then instead of going even to a jury trial, it's they're already found guilty.
Yeah, if they're admitting
So at
guilt,
that point, it's just I probably wouldn't even need an attorney. I would just go and sue them civilly and be like, hey, judge, they've been found guilty.
Right.
The end. What are we doing? What are we doing here, folks?
Right.
So that's my understanding. I don't really know.
Well, it's hard to say. There's a lot of variables right now that there's a lot of things that could happen. You got to go do the discovery.
Yep.
I don't know if the hospital has any discovery to do because they created all this shit. So it's really up to your legal team.
Well, I know Health and Human Services did a full investigation, so they went through everything on their end. So maybe there's stuff that was, not sent to me or I didn't think to ask for.
Right.
That could be in there. They found it. Because they have access to way more than I do, obviously.
Wow. And we think Brittney Spears has problems.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. So everything is well documented on my TikTok and on my YouTube because it is pretty, it's a lot and it does sound like I'm just absolutely paranoid and delusional, but.
I don't know. When you hear it out, lay it out. I mean, it's far from delusional and paranoid. That's a real thing. They conspired at all levels.
But it's so stupid.
Well, yeah, it's
so stupid. And that's the thing. I know people are like, oh, why? Because are you important or something? It's like, no, they just tried to cover it. It's like, you ever catch a little kid lying?
Yep.
Did you do this? And the little kid's like, no. And then they'll make up more lies to be like, no, I didn't. And then whatever. They'll do everything in their power to keep up a lie that at no point, they just double down.
What about your mother?
Oh my God, she had a stroke and she is
I know. Is there anything she's got? I mean, it just seems you guys have totally been...
she's suing because in her medical records, it shows the primary care practice we went to, it shows that she was having strokes and they did nothing.
So she was having strokes while she was there?
Yes.
And they sent her out?
Wow.
And they cut her off of services and they never told her. She kept going and be like, I need a neurologist.
Oh my
Holy
God.
shit.
So yeah, he's done for. That guy.
Yeah. This is the neurologist.
This is
another neurologist.
No, this is this was the practice manager at our primary care provider's office.
Yeah.
He's just like he's a total freaking maniac. And honestly, I'm not even afraid to say that. I don't care if that's slanderous because so many other people have been like, this guy did the same thing to me and my mom. He's just like, he's a menace. He's crazy.
Is he, what kind of doctor is he?
He's like he's a DO.
Or?
No, he's
Really?
from here. He's a DO. He was on like some like state boards or something. So he's got a lot of pull.
Yeah.
But like, for instance, like he was my stepdad's doctor and my stepdad was like, hey, I'm like worried I have like hypoglycemia or something. He like punched the table. He's like, I'll tell you if you have hypoglycemia. Like the guy is a freaking nutcase.
He's one of those Alec Baldwin doctors.
He just like screams at people.
Yeah.
He gets all red like Alex Jones in that picture after he took the supplements.
Oh, listen.
The full body, what is it? The male vitality shit in the before and after where it's like Alex Jones normal and then Alex Jones red. He looks like Alex Jones red.
I thought he was always red.
You know what I'm saying? You know how like he's, you know what picture I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, that was the funniest thing in the world when I saw that one.
Alex Jones took a fistful of Viagra and went fucking insane.
And he's just like red.
Yeah.
His blood pressure is through the roof.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh my gosh.
The fact that he's not dead is amazing to me. But
He might as well be.
yeah, he may as well be. He's right.
He's
wow.
He's
He might
deplatformed, which is
be,
worse.
Yeah.
Honestly, in this day and age, being deplatformed is worse.
Is there any place where there's any institution in the world where there's not corruption? Absolutely not.
Not if there's money.
Yeah.
If you don't have money in the equation, probably, but
They're all corrupt.
It's a business.
At a certain
That's
degree.
why we need AI, because humans are corrupt.
Uh-oh, here we go with the fucking
Yeah.
AI. I didn't want to talk about AI tonight. I'm so sick and tired of it. Yeah, I got so many bad things to say about AI. We really don't have AI yet, just to reiterate that whole podcast.
we have if-then learning programming.
Yeah, that's exactly what we got.
An if-then model of
if this happens,
learning.
then this happens.
Yep.
Right. There is no fucking AI that exists on the face of the earth. Maybe there is, maybe in some lab, but they're not giving it to us yet, for sure.
Right, the military has.
Yeah, the military might have it. Did you read there's an article out midweek last week on the Air Force and how an AI took over their systems where they were, flying, doing simulated dogfights.
I did read that one. Yeah.
Did you? I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? I am just struggling with all of these super programmers that are talking about all this AI and what it can do. And I'm just trying to figure it out. I'm trying to figure out what's going on with it.
Got to survive in an AI world.
Well, they know there's no AI. This is all just cut and paste to, like you're saying, if, then, what,
I mean, I think that probably the best thing they have at this point available to the public is ChatGPT because it's a language learning software is what it is.
I think it's the Brittney Spears filter is probably the best, but okay.
Oh, definitely. 100%.
100%.
That's the best technology we have out there.
But that's not, I don't know. I can't even talk about it because I get so like... Are you kidding me? We don't have AI yet. But certainly everybody thinks we do. I mean, I've heard guys giving lectures on it. We don't know what it does. Well, why are you programming it? How about we just throw some Mountain Dew on the keyboard or you can stop it pretty quickly. Just, throw some water on the computer.
I think people were just worried about partitions. Like, I think the only thing like you would have to worry about with like losing control of your AI would be in programming it in a way of like just full efficiency, fastest time for turnaround. Because what that'll do is it's going to take out the part where like a human is typing in commands.
Yes.
And it will, it's a lot easier to just use binary, which goes right to the source, which is just 0, 1, blah, 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 whatever. It'll create its own partition language. So it can talk to itself to solve a problem faster without human involvement. And I think you can just pull the plug on that really quick. There's nothing to be afraid of. But I mean, that's really my understanding is that's really the only way AI could like do something, You
could totally partition it, isolate it off, and it can't get out of the box. What I'm getting a kick out of is all of these techno nerds talking about black box. Oh, I've heard this because when we were building peer-to-peer networks, there was black box technology. What black box technology is, it's the thing that makes it run. It can't be turned off. We just don't know how it works, which is all big pile of bullshit. I actually talked about this in some news organizations, and then obvious when we were, I think it was Computer Science when they interviewed me. But everybody talks about black box technology. It was back when the peer-to-peers, we can't shut them down. You could shut them down. You just had to understand what was going on. They were programmed to control, but everybody wanted to say nothing was controllable. The same thing with AI. When you get the Google executives coming on TV pronouncing the fact that we just don't know how it works, I'm like, well, what the fuck is that all about? What do you mean you don't know? You're the guys who built the thing.
Read the code.
Yeah, their AI guys are like, what do you mean you don't know how it works? I mean, I'm really struggling with what is going on. Why are they doing this? We're 10 years away. I'm going to say it again. 10 years away from AI. We need a quantum computer. Once you have a quantum computer that works on atoms and not chips and transistors, then you got to have a certain programming language that is going to be C++. Once that all happens, it changes the dynamics, and you have a suspended quantum computer the size of a quarter, but everything that's cooling it down is as big as a Volkswagen bus. That's when we'll have a AI. You'll walk in, it'll look like something out of Prometheus. You'll walk in, there's shit hanging off the ceiling. It'll look like a goddamn horror flick. That's when we'll have AI. But right now, we got dick. We got nothing. We don't have anything. To your point, what is it? And this, then that. Oh,
most AI code is if, then.
If, then.
It's just if this, then that.
Yeah, if, then, this,
I mean, you can obviously add but. If, then, but. That's how code is written, my understanding.
Right.
If, then, but.
No, that's exactly how it's written. Then if you do this, do that. The
and
chart.
I mean, sure, I guess you can argue that that's how the human brain works. I think it's just like they're getting too philosophical sometimes because they're like, well, isn't that how all decision making is? It's like, sure, of course, we're going to model a piece of technology over how we understand the world and how our brains work because that's all we know.
Well,
Come on,
spontaneity doesn't necessarily take a logical track. And consciousness, the things that have to go into consciousness, feeling and wisdom and knowledge and all that, you can't, it just doesn't, we don't have the power to do that right now. So fuck everybody on artificial intelligence. I'm so sick of hearing about it. Every day there's a news report every morning. Oh, if the AI gets away, it could be the destruction of humanity, the Terminator, the Matrix. I just can't take it anymore.
It's just more of that fear porn.
Yeah, it's all fear porn. We run on fear, and we really do. Everything runs on fear.
Why don't they just talk about the climate crisis if they want people to freak out?
I would love to.
Just do that instead.
That's scary. Well, no, I guess UFO doesn't make us freak out.
No, nobody cares about that. I mean, probably, no one will care about the climate crisis anyway. Nobody cares.
I don't think anybody cares.
They don't care.
You want to know what does bother me, though? All that big tumbleweed of plastic that all the whales keep getting wrapped up in. It's in the
Are you talking about Garbage Island? Trash Island?
Well, there's a bunch of them. I don't know if Garbage Island. I'm talking about the thing underneath this ocean that's just this big pile of plastic.
Yeah.
That's all gathered. Where they fishing nets and, these whales will swim into it and get
awful.
Yeah, get hung
Or
up.
did you see where they had like plastic shell hybrids? Because of all the plastic shit in the ocean or something like that, right?
Yes.
I don't know exactly what it is.
What is that now? No, I'm not familiar with that.
It was like
a new substance.
Yeah, it was like a new substance, basically.
For what?
Yeah, it was a hybrid. It was like either the plastic and shell, like an animal shell.
Oh.
I think it's for like microplastics.
They turn into like a coral reef or something?
It was weird. It was being built into nature or something. It wasn't on a coral reef. It was more like a clamshell sort of thing.
Or like a rock or something.
Right. It was geology, but it was, the geology was taking on the plastic.
There's plastic in it. It's just there's so much plastic that it's
plastic
just in
rock,
everything.
Yeah. Well, we got the little beads. They say we drink those.
The beads?
Yeah, the plastic beads that they use.
Micro beads. Yeah, they're in toothpaste and diapers and in our water. And,
they're used as an exfoliant.
5G, man. I mean, it's, oh my God. Hey, I love you guys.
Enjoy your casserole.
Thank you.
All right, Jude.
I guess I'll have to tune in and listen to the end.
Well, we've been on for an hour and a half, so we're probably going to wrap it up. We'll have Tara back when we got to do the Brittney Spears thing. Good. We got to do deep fakes. There's a bunch of stuff we're going to. But yeah, I mean, what a good podcast. Hard to believe in today's day and age. We've got all these corrupt institutions, and I'm thinking everything's cool and everybody's fair. And no, I'm not. I never said that. That would never come out of my mouth or head. So, But anyway, yeah, Jude, have a wonderful time where are you again? Idaho, Iowa, where they grow potatoes.
Des Moines, Iowa.
In the bunker. Des Moines, Iowa. Yeah, in the bunker at Des Moines, Iowa. And then Tara, she will head back north, and I will try and sleep off the rest of my mushroom adventure. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah. So until then, we'll see you guys soon.
All right. My mishpucha.
Okay.
Bye.
Take care.
All right. Peace.
Bye.